So welcome back to the course on Articulate Storyline 360, and we begin from where we left. So in the last module we learned about slide layers, and in today's module we'll be learning about triggers and how and where to use them. Now, if you want to build user engagement and interactivity, please know that triggers are the single most important thing. So please give some time in understanding this concept thoroughly and deeply. In the last module, we created slide layers and understood how layers are a part of the same slide and how you can add on to the base layers. Now, triggers are something using which you can create user interactivity within those slide layers, or maybe like change character states, or maybe jump to different slides, or like highlight a light box section. Well, I do understand that this may sound complex, but they are very easy once you understand. So let's kind of play around with this. Now, in the section wherein we looked at the character states, we have seen like how different objects have different states, and in this timeline we have this lady called Lily out here, and we can see that we have different kind of states of her. Say for example, you are trying to play around with a quiz and you want to get some user responses, and you want to have a different character state based on the user response that you are fetching. So maybe if like the user is throwing up on a wrong response, you want her state to change. So well, all that is possible using like the triggers. Also, you can throw upon like different layers of maybe correct, incorrect using those trigger. Also, you can jump to different kind of slides. So well, there are a lot of possibilities possible today. Kind of let's look at how we can change character states using triggers. So like the way you build like user interactivity, or you build things with triggers, is first clicking on the object on which you want to apply the trigger. So here, like this slide, when it would be presented to the user, you obviously want the user to select a certain response. So each of these buttons that you see here like is basically my objects, which I have renamed like based on the naming convention, so that it becomes easy for me to attach triggers. So first foremost, you need to select the object on which you want to attach the trigger. So if the user is selecting Delhi, what do you want to happen? So if the user is selecting Delhi, what is the trigger that needs to happen? So for that, you need to go to trigger and click on add a new trigger. This will prompt the trigger wizard box to open, and now you want what to happen. So it's always good to read it out. It kind of makes it more easy to relate and understand. So do you want to change the state? Yes, I want to change the state. I don't really want to show a different layer or jump to a different slide. Well, all that is possible using triggers. But in this particular case, I want to change the state of Lily to a happy state, because the user would be hovering or maybe selecting or maybe doing something with the object. We will look at into that. We want to change the state of Lily to a happy state. So she is presently in a normal state. We want to change it to a happy state. Not when the user clicks, but rather when the user hovers over Delhi. So that's great for us. And now like we want to attach more triggers. So we want to do that for Bombay as well. And we want to attach a new trigger. And this time we would want Lily to be surprised because user is hovering over a wrong response. So we again, on the Mumbai object, we want to attach a new trigger. We want to change the state of Lily to kind of surprised when the user mouse hovers over like Mumbai. So well, this is how we would be kind of attaching triggers to character states. So let's look at how this would now evolve. Simply hovering on the slide over Delhi won't allow us to see what we have done. So before we proceed, let's first save this, Control S. So like this story file is getting saved, and now we can preview only this slide. We really don't need to preview the whole scene. So only this slide. And now when we hover on Delhi, you can see Lily becoming happy. When we hover on Bombay, Lily becomes surprised, as if asking, why the hell did you select that? So this is how kind of you can build interactivity with like triggers. In the last slide, we have already shown how we can use like triggers to facilitate like throwing up of layers which can be correct, incorrect. So in this particular case, when the user clicks on Lily, you can still add more triggers onto this. Like you can throw up the correct layer of the slide. So we have seen how we can add slide layers. So we want to show the correct layer which we have already created. So this is the correct response, and this we want to throw up when like the user selects the right response. How do we go do that? So we go to the base layer. So we go to the base layer of the same slide. So in the slide we have different layers. So we go to the base layer, and the base layer we select the object on which we want to attach the trigger. Then like with the object being selected, we create a new trigger. And now what do we want to happen? Do we want to change the state? No, we want to show a layer. Which layer do we want to show? We want to show the correct layer because the user has selected the correct response when the user clicks on like the Delhi object. So that's why I say always to name it, like name your objects correctly, so that it becomes far easy when you attach these triggers. Now when I click on OK, so this would be like working in case we preview the slide. So what we'll do is, before we go to preview, we do Control S so that the projects get saved, and then we can go ahead and preview this slide. And now because the trigger is like when we hover, she becomes happy. Also when we click on it, it throws up the like the layer which is for the correct response. So this is the correct layer. And in case you are wondering why on the layer like Lily is throwing up, why is Lily showing, we can always hide those things. We can always hide like Lily from our base layer as well. So well, I hope today's tutorial helps you understand on what all is possible using layers. You can also keep a button to this and maybe go to the previous slide or the next slide. Upcoming tutorials we will look at interactivity using these layers, maybe using these triggers, maybe even in more dedicated cases, as if like when you want to kind of maybe highlight a certain light box, or maybe throw up certain layers, or maybe change character states. Each of them as a dedicated tutorial, we'll be looking into that. So hopefully we will catch up in the next one.